Boy Who Stole the Stars Chapter 1. The Curious Wish. Leo was a boy who always wanted more. More toys, more adventures, more time to play. He never seemed satisfied with what he had. He envied those who had things he didn't, and whenever he saw something amazing, he wished it belonged to him. One night, as he lay in bed staring at the stars outside his window, he sighed. "If only I could have one of those stars," he murmured. "Then I'd be the luckiest kid in the world." Little did he know, someone was listening. A sudden gust of wind rustled his curtains, and before he could react, a soft voice echoed through his room. "Your wish is granted." Leo's eyes widened as a small, glowing object floated down from the sky, landing gently in his hands. It was a star. A tiny, shimmering, golden star, warm to the touch. His heart pounded with excitement. "I actually have a star." But he didn't stop to wonder, was this a gift or a test? Chapter 2. The Power of a Star. The next morning, Leo woke up to find the star still in his hands, twinkling softly. But something was different. When he got out of bed, he felt lighter, as if he were floating. When he reached for his school bag, it slid toward him on its own. And when he ran downstairs, he moved so fast that he nearly knocked over his little sister. He had power. Excited, he dashed outside. At school, he discovered that he could make objects hover, jump higher than anyone else, and even glow in the dark. He was unstoppable. But soon, something strange happened. At night, when he looked up at the sky, he noticed a gap where his star had been. And it wasn't just one star missing, other stars nearby looked dimmer. He shrugged. What's one little star missing from the sky? But he had no idea of the consequences his selfish wish had set in motion. Chapter 3. The sky begins to fade. Days passed, and Leo became more powerful. He ran faster than the wind, lifted objects with a flick of his hand, and could even see through walls when the stars' glow reflected in his eyes. But something else changed too. At night, the sky looked darker and emptier. More stars had disappeared. Then, the world began to change. The nights became eerily cold, colder than they had ever been before. People started wearing jackets even indoors. Farmers noticed their crops weren't growing properly. Something about the missing starlight had disrupted nature. The birds no longer sang at dawn, as if they were confused about time itself. People in the town started feeling different. They weren't as happy. They felt lost, restless, uneasy, without knowing why. Then, the whispers began. At first, they were soft, just a faint murmur when the wind blew through the trees. But soon, they grew louder, filling the air around him. "Return what you have taken." Leo tried to ignore them. But then, strange things started happening. His powers became unstable. One moment he could lift objects, the next they would crash to the ground. His speed vanished just as quickly as it had come. And worst of all, the sky continued fading into darkness. That night, he stared at the pitch-black heavens, realizing the truth. He hadn't just taken a star. He had stolen light itself. Chapter 4. The Keeper of the Stars. Panicked, Leo clutched the tiny star in his hands. "I didn't mean to cause this," he whispered. "I just wanted something special." "Yet you took from others," a deep voice replied. Leo whirled around. Standing before him was a tall figure, cloaked in shimmering silver robes. His eyes burned like twin stars, and his voice echoed like the wind across the night. "I am the Keeper of the Stars," the figure said. "You have disrupted the balance of the sky." Leo's hands trembled. "I didn't know. I thought it was just a small wish." The Keeper's gaze softened, but his voice remained firm. "Every action has a consequence, child. One missing star can tip the balance of the universe. Without their light, the world will grow cold and lost." Leo swallowed hard. He had never thought about how his actions might affect others. He had been so focused on what he wanted that he hadn't considered what was right. "Can I fix it?" he asked. The keeper studied him. "Only if you are willing to make the greatest sacrifice." Leo hesitated. He had loved having power. The ability to run fast, to lift things, to feel special. But as he looked up at the empty sky, he knew what he had to do. Slowly, he held out the tiny star. "I want to return it," he whispered. Chapter 5, Restoring the Light. The keeper nodded. "Then close your eyes and listen." Leo shut his eyes. At first, there was only silence. But then, he felt it. A soft warmth spread through his hands, and suddenly, the star began to rise. It lifted higher and higher, growing brighter with every inch. But suddenly, it resisted. Leo gasped. The star did not want to leave him. It had become a part of him. Then, he heard the keeper's voice again. "To return what was taken, you must give up something of equal value." Leo took a deep breath. Then, with a heavy heart, he whispered, "I give up my wish." In an instant, the star shot into the sky, and Leo felt his powers leave him. He collapsed to his knees, feeling ordinary again. But when he opened his eyes, he gasped. The sky was reawakening. One by one, the stars reappeared, their golden glow restoring the heavens. The world felt warmer again, the night sky whole. The keeper of the stars smiled. "You have learned an important lesson." Leo nodded. "That some things aren't meant to be taken." "Exactly," the keeper said. "True greatness isn't about what you take, it's about what you give." And with that, the keeper vanished into the night, leaving only the twinkling stars above. Leo smiled. He no longer had powers, but he had something far greater, a lesson he would never forget. As he looked up at the shining sky, he whispered, "Thank you." And for the first time, the stars seemed to whisper back. Moral of the story: the true value of giving. Leo learned that true happiness comes from giving, not taking. By restoring the stars, he found something greater than power, he found purpose.